All right, so today's review is on generating random numbers. These obviously come up in a lot of programs. Think of a video game where you might do random amount of damage, or simulating a sort of board game, or randomly calling in a student. All this would be Math.random. Something that could come up on this year's AP test. I'm not really sure if it will or not, but figured it'd be a good thing to review. And so the most basic thing is, for what is Math.random return? And if you forgot what it did on the AP test, remember you have that AP reference doc, right? So there's this quick reference deal, and if you click on that and look at it, it'll tell you about a few different math methods, including Math.random. So this is something, again, I think would be good to print out for the AP test, have it right next to you when you take it this year. Okay, so Math.random returns a double. It can be 0, but less than 1. So the way I always say this is it returns a number from 0, 0 to 0.9999999, because basically it can't be 1. Right, so that's what Math.random returns. And that's kind of our starting point for a lot of different tasks. Okay, so what I want to do here is do a task where we simulate like the game of Catan, or I think Monopoly uses 2 die. So you roll 2 die and you want to find the sum of those 2 die. Okay, and I'm actually going to do it kind of the wrong way this first time, and then maybe you can help me figure out what I'm doing wrong. So I always start with a starting point. So I'm going to do this in Eclipse just because it's a little bit easier for me. And so we already talked about this. If you want to play around with Math.random, that'll just return a double, all right, between 0 and 1. All right, and so if I want to do the die rolling, I kind of just go step by step. So I know that it's sort of a range of, I think, 11 numbers. From 2 to 12 is actually 11 different numbers. And so I think that's how you want to start. So I'm going to do like double step 1 and take Math.random and multiply that by 11. And this should give us between 0 to, let's see, 10.9999999. Right? If we just take these two bounds and multiply them by 11, that's what you'd get. Okay, and so then I'm going to turn that into an int next. So I just cast it using int of the previous value. Okay, and this should be 0 to 10. Okay, and now we're pretty close to having what we want, right? I just need to add 2 to both of those two. So int step 3, or maybe let's call it result, is whatever step 2 was plus 2, right? And that'll give us, if we have 0 to 10, a random value 0 to 10, and we add 2 to it, we'll have 2 to 12. Okay, and then I can sys out print that, and then see that it's kind of working. Okay, so we're rolling 2 dice, getting the sum. Okay, so that's generally the pattern, is like whatever your range is, you multiply by that first. And then if you need to not have it be 0, you add to move it up. So my range was 11 numbers, and then I started with 0 to 10, which is 11 values, and then shifted it up by 2 to get 2 to 12. All right, so anyone be able to spot, if you, I think it'd be good for you to pause the video here and see if you can spot why this wouldn't actually simulate the real life situation of adding 2 die together. All right, so the reason why that isn't right is 2 and 12 are equally likely as like 7 and 8 in this case, right? And in actuality, you're much more likely to get one of the middle numbers than you are to get 2 and 12. All right, so that's getting kind of nitpicky, and if you didn't catch that, it's not the end of the world. But the actual right way to do this, the correct way to simulate 2 dice, is you have to do 2 separate numbers from 1 to 6, which is what 2 separate die, and then add that result together. So you're going to have to do this twice, one for each die, and then add those 2 results together. So I'll bang that code out really quick. I'm actually going to pause, but then I'll type it out real quick. Okay, so the code is really, really similar. I actually just copied and pasted it and reused the same variable names. But now I just want to do 1 to 6. So I multiply by 6 to get my range, truncate it, gets me 0 to 5, and then add 1 to get 1 to 6. Okay, and so I really should make a method here that represents rolling a die so I can call it twice. But just to make it a little bit simple, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this again, reusing step 1 and step 2. They're kind of temporary variables anyways. And then I'm going to make die 2 be the result there. And so then my answer really would be int sum would be die 1 plus die 2. And that would be actual better way to simulate rolling 2 die because you actually have to roll them separately. And in this way, 7 is more likely than 2 and 12, which would actually be kind of the right way to do this. So these notes I'm saving here for you just kind of as a reference, and you can look over it. And then what your job will be for the rest of this lesson is to complete the other methods. So I have some, I'll uncomment those for you, but I have some tests in here in main, and then you have to write 2 methods. One that generates a random number between 1 and n inclusive, and then you have to do one that returns a random student from a array list of strings. And I just put in default in here so it would actually compile, but I'll take these out, uncomment these for you, and then your job is to write those, and then you can run these and see if they're actually working. So I'll leave the code from class today here, and then your job is to finish it, finish these 2 methods. Descriptions are in there. And then also, I'm going to actually have you turn this one in to make sure we're okay with it. So whenever you're done, turn in these 2 completed methods. And again, you should be able to see that they're working by uncommenting. Actually, I'll uncomment these for you, but just hit run and main will run these and test your methods for you. All right, that's it for random numbers. Let me know if there's any questions.